Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. Coming up, the Cannes Film Festival kicks off, and while 7 out of the 21 directors nominated this year are female, there's anger over the opening movie starring Johnny Depp, who's staging a comeback after winning a defamation trial against his former wife Amber Heard, who accused him of abuse. And also protests continue in India after athletes spoke out against the country's wrestling federation while accusing its president, who's also a well-known politician, of sexual misconduct. But first, the red carpet has been unfurled once again at the Cannes Film Festival. This year, the major industry event has nominated a record 7 female directors out of 21 in total. But once again, it's also attracted criticism from women activists over the opening film starring Johnny Depp. It's his first big movie since a high-profile defamation trial with ex-wife Amber Heard over her claims that he was physically abusive. On social media, supporters of Amber Heard have been using the hashtag #CanYouNot to protest online about Johnny Depp's inclusion.
A hero's welcome for Johnny Depp in Cannes as he returns to the red carpet after a legal showdown with ex-wife Amber Heard. Accused of countless acts of domestic violence and sexual abuse by Heard, he won a defamation lawsuit in 2022. His return to Cannes has triggered backlash, though, as many feel his victory in court was symptomatic of a culture where victims are not believed, and that by welcoming him back, the festival protects abusers.
By rolling out the red carpet for abusers, the festival sends a message that in our country violence is treated with full impunity and it's acceptable in the creative arts.
The 123 female actors who signed the open letter added that all too often they are told, please keep quiet for the sake of the film. The festival's director rejected the criticisms, justifying Depp's presence as a matter of free speech.
I don't know what Johnny Depp's image is in the United States. To tell you the truth, we see a movie. I have only one rule in life: freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom to act within the law.
Film star Adele Haenel, who said she was sexually harassed and abused between the ages of 12 and 15 by director Christophe Rouget, also recently penned an open letter, officially checking out of the industry.
They all closed ranks to save the reputations of the likes of Depardieu, Polanski and Boutonnat. It inconveniences them. It's bothersome when victims make too much noise. They'd rather we continue to disappear and die in silence.
As the industry is forced to confront its demons, it's also a record year for women in Cannes, with 7 female-directed films premiering at the festival.
Now, Indian farmers have joined some of the country's top wrestlers in protest, demanding action against its federation president, who also happens to be a powerful politician. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is accused of sexually harassing and intimidating female athletes. The case has shone a light on a culture of sexual abuse, inequality and impunity in Indian sports, as Emerald Maxwell reports.
Farmers break down police barricades in New Delhi as they join female wrestlers in their struggle against their sports federation chief. They've been calling since January for the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, whom they accuse of sexual harassment and intimidation against 7 female wrestlers over more than a decade. A few days earlier, clashes broke out in Delhi between protesters and police.
Did we win all those medals for our country just to go through all of this? What should we do? We're not even able to compete. Our lives are on hold. We're literally in the street.
The wrestlers resumed their protests at the end of April, accusing the police, the Wrestling Federation of India and the Ministry of Sports of failing to act, even after they went public with the allegations in January. It was only after the group went to the Supreme Court in May that the Delhi police, who are under central government authority, filed a case. Singh, who is also a powerful lawmaker from the ruling party, has not been arrested, though. He has denied the allegations and in a video posted on Facebook urged protesters to wait until investigations were completed. Many of the wrestlers hail from humble backgrounds in the largely agricultural state of Haryana. Wrestling's become popular there among women in recent years after a series of championship successes.
This sends a bad message to the villages. Who will let their girls pursue sports now? No one. The government claims that they are always ready to protect women's rights, but the contrary is happening.
The government has a slogan, protect and educate girls. But who from? We now see that it's the government that we need to protect our girls from.
The wrestlers have won support from some of India's most famous athletes, as well as from the farmer movements that spearheaded successful protests against agricultural reform bills in 2021. They said next they'll take protests nationwide.
And watching that report with me is Leela Jacinto, senior editor with France24.com. Leela, thank you so much for coming in. Just tell us a bit more about this individual.
Well, to understand this, one really has to look at this from the context of power, violence, and impunity. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh is the president of the Wrestling Federation of India, but he's also a parliamentarian. He's an MP. He's been elected 6 times, and he's an MP from the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. This is the party of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, he has a background of criminality and violence, and this is on the record. You know, his affidavit for National Parliament cites 4 criminal cases against him, including attempted murder. The reason why this happens, why such an individual can get re-elected, is the culture of prevalent violence. He's a parliamentarian from the state of Uttar Pradesh. It's a northern Indian state. It's India's most populous state, and it's very important for national politics. He cut his teeth really against the background of violence. He was a petty criminal, and he launched his political career in the early 90s. So Uttar Pradesh is particularly, it's got a problem of, it's a very hierarchical society, a very majoritarian society. So in the terms of hierarchy, whether it's lower caste, whether it's women, whether it's people from the minority Muslim community, the violence against women comes against the context of violence. And this applies to men as well. You know, there are video clips of him slapping male wrestlers. And this is why in this particular case, male wrestlers have come out strongly in support of the women.
At this point in time, where does the MeToo movement in India currently stand?
Well, it's a mixed picture. Definitely the MeToo movement arrived in India, and there were some very high-profile cases that women won. You know, there's primarily one of a journalist, Priya Ramani, who won a case against a very, very well-known Indian editor, journalist, who left journalism and was a BJP politician. And he actually sued her for defamation. She won it. It's considered a very important case. But if you look at these cases, you know, this is a journalist. Priya Ramani had extensive support networks. Me Too has a long way to go with women, like we are seeing with the wrestlers, women in the informal sectors, women from the lower caste and class backgrounds. So there is certainly an awareness of this is happening. There, the gates have been open, but it's a very long way to go. It's a very patriarchal society.
And coming back to that, it does, however, appear to be a disconnect, because the number of women these days in India who are educated is reaching a record figure, yet you still have a society that views women's rights from a very traditional conservative perspective.
Right. You know, Annette, when it comes to India, I mean, every country has diversity, but India's diversity is enormous, right? So when you are in the cities, you will see women getting pretty high positions, well-educated. You come to the smaller towns, it's a different picture. The rural areas are a completely different picture. And you're absolutely right. Female education is rising. Among the things that's rising is it was so low, so it is catching up right now. So the numbers are vast in a country of 1 billion people. But there is a huge lag between female education and female employment. To give you just one statistic, according to World Bank figures, 72% of men are employed. Educated men. That figure is 25 for women. Overall, women in the workplace are not entering the workplace consummate to their education levels.
So what is the future for women's rights in India, therefore?
This is the big question that you posed to me. Look, I wouldn't say that it's a bleak future. You know, the fact that cases like this are coming out, the fact that something like this is coming out against a man like Brijbhushan Sharan Singh, extremely powerful, and these are women from very modest backgrounds, and they're coming on to Delhi. They are joined by farmers, protesters. They are joined by their male colleagues. This is also a very heartening thing because there are Indian males who are supporting the women in this. So there is a long way to go. There's an extremely long way to go. What I don't find much hope in is the political context of violence. I really think that violence against women is very much part of a general climate of violence. And impunity and the politicization and the fact that extremely powerful people don't seek justice, I'm not that hopeful about it. And that's exactly what we are seeing with this case. There is an awareness, there is a mobilization, but how long before we lose interest in it? The poor women have to go back to their lives, and the general culture, the patriarchy, the violence, I'm not very hopeful about that.
Leela Jacinto, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it for this edition. We'd love to hear your suggestions for the 51%, so do get in touch via Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, and you can catch our previous episodes on our website. So until our next show, bye for now.